Korean.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Languages of the World. Actually, I missed you a lot. I haven't been on a program for quite a while. And actually on this episode we're going to talk about different things. But I'm going to start with people complaining because they always tend to forget what they study. Actually, it's because you don't practice much. If you really want to be very good at English and never forget, you have to all the time practice, 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 practice. As they say, practice makes perfect. So as much as you can, try not to waste your time. And I guess everybody is on vacation now. Everybody's on holiday. So the summer holiday is long. So why don't you make good use of this summer holiday by improving your English, whether you're actually still a student or perhaps you're done with your studies. It's really good to make good use of this free time by reading a lot. A lot of people don't know actually what to do, what to read, or actually they don't know how to improve their English. But there are so many things to do actually. But I guess the most important thing is that you continue every day, on each single day, to be in touch with the language. Be it by listening, you listen a lot, you can listen to so many things, like you listen to the news, you watch movies, whatever. Alright, this is really very helpful. You need to practice a lot of listening because, you get used to the sounds of English, and bit by bit, you actually eliminate your mother accent, because a lot of people, when they speak English with an Arabic accent, and this is not really good. And to get over this, to get rid of your mother tongue accent, you need to listen a lot. And when you listen a lot, don't care about understanding everything you listen to. You could just listen. Just give yourself a chance to listen. And let something playing while you're doing anything else. So actually a lot of people say that, a lot of experts say that in order to improve or to start learning a language, you need to listen to the language before you start learning it. So you decide to learn any language, you start listening to it first before, like maybe even some 6 months before you start it. This is really, don't say I'm going to take courses and be good at English. No, don't say I'm going to take courses and when I start taking courses I'm gonna start to learn. No, you should start right now, from this moment. So once you decide to improve your English, for example, because this is the most important language in the world right now. So you want to improve your English, start right now by listening first, listen to anything. And of course, sometimes it's also helpful when you listen to movies. So you watch a movie and with the subtitles in English. So, and this is actually very easy now. You could do it on YouTube, for example. There are so many subtitled movies. So you could just type on the search part here, English subtitled or subtitled English movies, or movies subtitled in English, whatever. So this is really very helpful because sometimes you miss a lot of what they say. So you could just get a movie and study it. Why not? Just like when you read a book and study it, get a movie and study it. All right, stop, and when you don't understand something, take notes. All right, you could actually see it later, look it up later in a dictionary, or you could just on the spot at that moment, all right, look it up. so that you don't miss anything. And there's something I want you to know actually about the language, which is there is a great difference between the spoken language and the written language. So the language you find in books is not the language used in everyday life. Of course, it's not like Arabic, for example. Arabic is, there are more differences between written Arabic and spoken Arabic, but English, it's not the same. I mean, yes, there are differences, but they are not that great, but there are a lot of differences actually. So you need to know that what you need the language for. Do you need the language to communicate? And this is actually what we all need the language for. We need to communicate. So when we communicate, all right, by voice, you contact with people, all right, you need to know how people speak, not how people, read. So the language written in books is fine, but you need to learn how to speak just like native speakers do. And to do that, you need to listen to movies, all right, and understand how people make even shorter sentences. I mean, you don't need to give a whole structured sentence in order to speak. Sometimes you could just say just a few words, all right? So I'll be giving you a lot of tips on the show as long as we go on, but this is the most important thing. I want you to listen a lot, and I want you to read a lot, all right? And by actually reading, it's very interesting to read the stories, all right? Reading stories can be helpful, and you start by simple stories and move on until you can be able to read like novels, all right? Reading novels is actually very interesting. And there are some important writers that we can read too, like, for example, Paulo Coelho. Paulo Coelho is actually a Portuguese writer, and his novels are translated in many different languages. And his novels are really so exciting, and you could actually enjoy reading a novel. But I want to tell you something. There's a difference between reading the novel in the original and reading it as translated copy, because actually, yes, you lose something when you read a translated work, but it's better than nothing, all right? And when you, for example, read a translated work, sometimes the language is like more simple. All right, so you could try to do that. Paulo Coelho is a Portuguese writer. His works are translated into English and Arabic. Try reading the English version. And let's start this episode by giving you something related to Paulo Coelho. He's actually written a very important novel that has been read all over the world. And this novel is called The Alchemist. The Alchemist. I'm sure that you have heard about this novel. As you see, this is a copy of the novel, which is called The Alchemist. All right, and actually throughout the story, we can pick some interesting phrases, some interesting quotes. Yeah, like this one, for example, which says, "Carefree wandering, and when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it." This is really very interesting. When you want something, the universe conspires in helping you achieve it. When you really want something, the universe always conspires in your favor. All things are one, and this is good omens. What does that mean, actually? This is something that can give us a lot of hope. It means what? It means that we should be persistent, that when you want something, never ever give it up, and try as much as you can to work for it. You have a goal. Everybody has set some goals for themselves, of course. So you have a goal, all right? Don't quit. Don't give up. Work hard and believe in yourself. Believe that you can achieve this goal, because in this case, when you want something very badly, it says that all the universe conspires. And although this word like is a passive word, but here it can be a positive word. All the word conspires. Conspires here like gets together in order to help you achieve what you want. But this is not enough. You have to show that you are actually fighting for what you need or what you want to do or what you want to achieve. So this is really true, and if you have tried it before, you could tell us about your experience related to this. All right, let's move to something else, which says, what is the world's greatest lie? The world's greatest lie, and this is a quote from the story itself once again. The little boy asks. The old man replies, it's this, that at a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives becomes controlled by fate. That's the world's greatest lie. So perhaps he means by this that we think that we are always in control of things, but actually our lives is controlled by fate. All right, so as you see, the idea here is not just to learn or to read or to learn a language. Actually, as we learn a language, we can enjoy the learning process by digging into somebody's thoughts through his writing. I mean, imagine yourself having your friends who are like great writers, because when you read for somebody, you actually become a friend of that person. He gives you his thought, all right? And of course, his thought is a product of his experience. So you learn from somebody who's living or who has lived at a different part of the world with a completely different environment. But again, you can learn a lot about life through other people's experiences, and this is really very interesting. And this is what's fun about learning the language. It is that you do not just learn the language, but you learn about life as well. Let's now move to something else. Here it says, my heart is afraid that it will have to suffer. The boy told the alchemist, and this is a quote from the story, one night as they looked up at the moonless sky. Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. So the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, because actually throughout our lives we tend to be afraid of something bad happening to us, and we keep on having these fears, all right, and we destroy our lives by having these fears, because these fears might not happen actually. And sometimes it is worse to have this feeling than to suffer from it already. So this is actually something that we can learn. It is we should not have these bad fears in our hearts. Try to always get rid of any passive feelings, any fears about something that may or may not happen. Let things, just do your part, do what you have to do. I mean, for example, if you're waiting for the results of your exams, all right, so a lot of people might have a lot of fears, and they actually are unable to do anything. Their lives are just focused on waiting for the results to come out. But why? Why do this to yourself? Why not just let it happen? By having these fears, nothing is gonna change things. All right. So just wait. Maybe when the results come out, everything's fine. All right. If not fine, then you have to like rethink and do something else, and try to always find an alternative or a better solution to your problem. Let's now move to something else. This is, it says, we are travelers on a cosmic journey, stardust, swirling and dancing in the eddies and whirlpools of infinity. Life is eternal. We have stopped for a moment to encounter each other, to meet, to love, and to share. All right, this is a precious moment. It is a little parenthesis in eternity. And this is actually very figurative meaning. And it shows that, I guess, it shows that the best part about our lives is that we meet with people. Our lives is nothing without other people. And throughout our lives, we come across people, and people come and go. But they always leave an impact, all right? And as they say, nothing or everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So you might think that there are things happening around you, and you might ask yourself, why? Why do these things happen? Why sometimes do I meet people and then they go? Well, actually, as I told you, everything happens for a reason. You might lose somebody, but you learn from the experience, all right? And you become more cautious later in the future. And you also, if you are the wrong party, then you start improving yourself. You start to think about what's wrong about you, what made things go wrong, and then you start to rethink and try to change the way you look at things and the way you handle people, and try as much as you can to study yourself, to learn about yourself, and to see what defects you have and try to change them. Now let's move to something else. All right, it says here, I'm learning the language of the world, and everybody or everything in the world is beginning to make sense to me, even the flight of the hawks. So this is from the story. He said to himself, and in that mood he was grateful to be in love. When you are in love, things make even more sense, he thought. You know, little thoughts, but they give you a lot of ideas. When you are in love, things are different, and not just are different. Actually, when you are in love, you love everything around you. You love the world, you love the people, you love your work, you love your studying. Everything becomes so nice and sweet when you are in love. And it's not always about romantic love, all right? You could be in love with everything around you. You could be in love with all the people around you. I mean, it doesn't have to be this romantic kind of love. All right, now let's move to something else and see what we have for Paulo Coelho again. If good things are coming, they will be a pleasant surprise, said the seer. If bad things are, and you know in advance, you will suffer greatly before they even occur. All right, this is really true. And I guess this is a blessing that we don't know about what's to come. If we know what's to come, we become happy. Yeah, of course. And this is something really pleasant. But if we do not know, this is good for us, because if you know what's coming and what's coming is bad, you will suffer a lot. And perhaps this is a blessing from God that we don't know about what's coming, especially the bad things. Of course, we can predict, but you never know for sure. All right, you never know what's going to happen next. So this is, imagine yourself knowing, for example, I don't know, something's going to happen to you next, something bad is going to happen to you next year. You will not be able to live properly during that time. Well, I hope nothing actually bad happens to anybody, and now let's take a break. So we're back, and we just had some quotes from the story The Alchemist. Actually, it's a great motivating story, and I want everybody who hasn't read it already or who has read it in Arabic to try to get the English copy and read it. And if you know Portuguese, of course, it will be very good for you to read it in the original. So this is really going to be very good for you. So now let's move to something else. And of course, we know that we can play sometimes with words. Words usually have like a stem. A stem is like the main part. And there are things that are called suffixes and prefixes and infixes sometimes. But in English, it's very common to use prefixes and suffixes. What is a prefix? A prefix is a part that is added to the stem, all right, to give it a different meaning, all right? And a suffix is a part that is added in the end of a word, all right, to change the meaning or to give it a different meaning or to add something to it, all right? An infix, this is really very rare in English, perhaps non-existent, all right? It's like it's a part of the word that gets in the middle, all right? So let's see here some of these words. Like we have the word port, and this is a stem, all right? The word port, and this is actually what makes what makes English easy to learn, because you just sometimes need to add a prefix or a suffix to get a different meaning. So we have the word port, for example. All right, port. What is to port? What is a port? A port is like a harbor. It's a place like on the seaside where ships may park or stay. All right, so it's called port. All right, if we add this prefix import, and of course import is when you like take goods or get goods from another country, all right? And there is also the word export. Export is like when you transfer goods to another country, for example. So we can talk about import and export. And there is also the word transport, all right? Transport, like, for example, when you transport something, if it's a verb, all right, when you transport something, you take it by transportation, all right, like a bus, a car, whatever. Portable, see, the word here, we have a suffix, actually. The suffix able, it becomes portable. Like your phone that you carry is portable, your portable phone, because you can carry it, all right? And deporting, deporting is like when you, for example, send troops somewhere else, right? Deportation, if you know what I mean. And transportation, again, when you talk about transportation, we mean like the bus, the plane, the ship, whatever thing you take to move you to somewhere else. And of course, we have the word important, and important is actually means like essential, something that is very vital. All right, so I think these are very interesting stuff to learn, and I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. We'll be meeting you again on another episode, so until then, we wish you all the best. Bye-bye.